Hi everybody, welcome back to 1/35th scale modeler. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a build of this Sturmgeschütz 3. I've already done a review, so we know what's inside the box. So let's get the lid off again. And all I'm going to take out at this stage is the lower hull. Now, I've got a tool here. With this lower hull, the general production quality is very good. The only bit that's a problem that I can see is this piece here. So what I'm going to do initially is I'm just going to remove that, and then I'm going to do like a very slight fill-in repair on it and get that sanded back so it's smooth. Then once that's done, we can then start assembling some of these swing arms and then get this lower hull painted up. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so for this part of the job, I've got a couple of soft sanding sticks. I've just got an old brush, got my sprue goo here, got my little chisel that I'm going to take off, a little stirrer. So essentially, what I want to do is I just want to remove this nub here. That's it. See, now I've removed it. Right, it's a tiny little bit damaged, but nothing crazy. So just put that off. Now, sprue goo. It's quite handy stuff, sprue goo. Nice little stir. There you go. That should be enough for what I need anyway. You can also use this on holes to give it that sort of cast effect, particularly on the Russian vehicles anyway. Okay, just put that to one side. That can sit on there. Let's get a lid on that. I want to knock that over. Sprue goo doesn't dry instantly because it needs to evaporate. But all I need to do really is just sort of get this spread neatly onto here. And then as it sort of dries off, it'll actually sink into position, fill that area. That should be all right. So what we'll do is we'll come back to that later. Yeah, we'll come back to that later. Oh, well, let's just quickly show up close what it's kind of looked like at the moment with the sprue goo. You can see here. Okay, so now the sprue goo is dried, you can see it's like a nice matte finish. It hasn't really sunk too deep because I've kind of made sure that it sits proud. And then all I need to do now is just give it a gentle sand. It's really just to get this back. Yep, almost there. And that's how we run. Hey, that looks all right now. Yeah, nice and smooth. Lovely. Okay, just very quickly, now that I've removed that bit of the nib there, cleaned it back, filled it and sanded it off, what I want to do is I want to build up parts of this lower hull with like the suspension arms. there's some extra pieces that will be going on the front here. And then when that's done and the tub's got that piece built on, that's the point where I'll spray this section. I won't spray this now and then put the other pieces on, because when they were building them in the factory, I'm pretty sure that all that sort of stuff would have been added, and then they would have probably sprayed at the factory just before it left, or they may have even sprayed it in the field. But that's my plan anyway. So with this part of the build, we're going to be building up the suspension arms. What they're asking us to do is add all the suspension arms to the lower hull. The hull has to be positioned this way. What I want to just do is just remove one of these so you can see how I go about doing that. So we cut these off the sprue away from the part, although we're quite fortunate actually, because these parts are quite sturdy, so they're not like thin and prone to break. And these nippers actually cut through. Okay, so that's off. So we just need to make sure we don't lose that. So these are the two pieces that we're going to start on first. There you go. Here. Yeah. So very gently cut, again, just close up there. Remove this little nib here. There you go. And then with a sanding stick, just clean up roughly to make it smooth. I may need to go back over these again shortly. But effectively, that's what you've got to do for all these swing arms. Now there are particular swing arms that go at the front and the back of the vehicle, which I'll show you now. Let's just give that a little wipe off there, and wipe off here. So with these ones, you can see there's like an extra piece on here with a hole through it, and you can see those there, and it will just be underneath here and also at the back here. So when we fit these are going to go at the front and at the back on both sides. What I'll do is I'm just going to carry on. I'll cut all these off screen, get these all cleaned up and ready, and then we'll move on to the next step. Right, so that's all them done. Let's offer it up to the hole. So fitting these on, there's a hole just there. And this slides into that socket there, and that hooks in there. But when you look at how it sits, there just seems to be a little bit of movement. So what I'm probably going to have to do, I'm going to put some extra thin on there and use capillary action just to get that down, and then I'll dab a little bit in there. I think that's the way to do it. Let's see how we get on with that. Reaction, and then just a very tiny amount in there. That's it. What I might do is I might just pop a bit on the top there as well. Yeah, you can see that runs around nicely. Okay. So let's do another one of those. So that sits in there. And that hole goes there. Right, okay. So let's go. Right. So I want a bit of capillary action there. Yeah, lovely. And just a very small amount just in there. There you go, nice. Okay. That's it. So what I'll do is I'll carry on with the others and then I'll just show what it looks like when I've finished. Okay, and now the last one of these. What I've got to do, I just need to make sure I'm pressing this quite tight. The reason being, these need to be quite flush on. What I'll do is I'll show you in a second. They're all in the right place. Right, so this side's been successfully glued in. I'll need to leave that for about half an hour really to really cure properly. But you can see all down on this edge here that the swing arms are very tightly pressed against this and glued in, and also on the inside, so there's no gaps. Same on this side, no gaps, no gaps. Okay, now that just sits there then like that, and what we'll do is we'll just let that cure off. Okay, this is dried off now, good. All I need to do now is just get these ones in place. Just get the glue in, pop that on there. That's it, that's good. That's too much. That's it. A little bit of capillary action there. Get that blobbed in there. Press that down nice and tight. That's it. Okay. There you go. Oh, nice and tight. Last one. Pop that on there. That fits in. Good. Hold that nice and tight in. Okay, now they're in place. That's great. These just need to cure off fully, and then what we'll do is we'll paint the tub.